Hello, everybody. Anish Majumdar here, career coach to the fiercely ambitious. And hello, everybody. Anish Majumdar here, career coach to the fiercely ambitious. Back at you today to answer a question that has been on the minds of anyone who is currently in the midst of a job search, looking to find a better path, or just knowing that no matter what the coronavirus brings, your days are numbered where you are. The question is this: will I be forced to take a pay cut in this market? The talk is rampant, right? I mean, this is exceptional times we're going through. No one's seen anything quite like it. And even though we know that all things pass and eventually life will return to normal, and then it's going to be all the crush of moving ahead, defeating competition, changing, shifting, all of that, we still find ourselves in this spot. And in this spot, there is talk and there is uncertainty. Look, you're out there. It's not a good time. People aren't hiring. People don't want to meet face to face. If they do, they're going to jerk you around, or at the very least, they're going to delay until they reopen the country. Either don't bother, or if you're lucky enough to get something, be prepared to take a what? 10%? 20%? More than 20%? 30%? 40% pay cut in order to keep doing what you're doing. Because, hey, we all got to tighten up our belts, and hey, we all need to suffer in all sorts of random ways to do what we were put on this earth to do, right? We keep hearing this, and it's time that somebody started talking about that. And it's time that somebody who has seen it on the other side, as I have, can tell you beyond any shadow of a doubt, no, you do not need to set yourself up for those types of reduced expectations on salary or anything else right now. Now, there's a caveat. I'm not saying that and saying, hey, back to business as normal. I'm definitely not saying that. To those of you who have followed me and have taken my webinars and have taken my videos, you guys know how I feel about the standard job search. You know how I feel about blasting out resumes and talking to gatekeepers. That sucks. That is a recipe for disaster. Now, in a normal circumstance, despite anything I might say, if you were insistent on doing it that way, eventually you might have eked out something. Now, going that path means much larger time frames, many more problems, and way less chances of getting anything but a low ball offer, even if you do get an offer on their time frame. But taking all of that aside, you might have been able to finagle something. It is not going to happen now. You have a really long shot. I'm not going to say it's a lottery-like shot, but I'm going to say it's something close to that, especially if you are above the manager level, your senior manager, director, VP, and up, forget about it. Traditional job search has never been your friend. Now it is your active enemy. So definitely, when I say, no, you do not need to take a pay cut, the caveat is, no, you do not need to, as long as you do things in a different way. If you are insistent on doing it the same way, forget about it. In fact, stop watching this video. It's not for you. You're not going to get anything out of it, and you're not going to be changing behavior, so why bother? I'm not interested in regurgitating information. That's what the 99.9999999% of other career coaches and experts out there are there to do. I'm not here to BS you. I'm here to say yes for those who have balls, courage, and the willingness to take action. Absolutely. You can own that higher price point. If you know that you've been undervalued and you need to finally take a step up to have it align up with what you really do, now is the greatest time on planet Earth. For those who are willing to do different, this right now is the moment in which entire careers are made, entire leapfrogs are made, entire transformational moves are made. So let me lead you through what, in my opinion, would be the big three ways that you can say screw you to the coronavirus, screw you to the unethical employers who are looking this as an excuse to shaft you, and get it happen on your terms, at your number, your way. Okay? Big three. Number one, please make sure that you are coming across as critically necessary, not optional. And let me repeat that again, because it is most probably the most important thing that I'm going to tell you on this video today. Make sure that you are coming across as critically necessary, not optional. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's say I'm a highly skilled project manager. Okay? I've been doing that for 10 plus years. I'm really good at it. I think of myself as an IT or just a senior project manager. I've got the PMP certification. I've got the industry experience, right? I got some good references. I'm going out there, hat in hand. I'm going out there, ready for that next opportunity. Not going to work. Because in this environment, any type of a brand, any type of a positioning that seems to align with a job posting or what I already have in my mind, like that, like just another project manager, that's optional. That's a, yeah, I'll talk to you if I have time. That's a, yeah, I'll get back to you with that offer. Not this quarter, obviously, but when we feel like it. Okay, you're optional, right? It's good to have, it's nice to have, but it's not necessary, right? That's the difference between going to the doctor for a general checkup. And, I'll put it aside. I do that all the time. I mean, my doctor gets mad at me all the time because I will cancel that stuff, I should take it more seriously. But that's the difference between going to a doctor for that and going to a doctor because you've got stage 3 cancer. There's a totally different feel there. In one situation, that doctor feels optional. In the other one, I have to speak to this doctor and do absolutely everything he or she says because my life is on the line. The survival of my business is on the line. The survival of what I want to do and how I want to support my family is directly on the line. That is the difference between being perceived as necessary, not optional. So ask yourself this: what is the sum total of your impact? Please take your perception. If you are thinking of yourself as, look, I just need another job, you will not succeed in this marketplace. Forget it. If you are not willing to think bigger than the sad little limitations that we've been taught, get X degree, get X job title, forget it. Now is not the time for that. We don't need sheep right now. We need wolves. Okay? So I want you to ask yourself, what is the full total? Get a piece of paper, get a pen right now. I don't care what you have going on in your life right now. If it's not important enough for you to put some writing behind it, it's not going to happen. And I want you to write down every single aspect, every single way in which what you do, especially at the highest levels, has totally transformed it. What is the total impact? Not just in terms of revenue or things that we can encapsulate in a resume. What about it in terms of how did you impact these people? How did you impact the teams? How did that affect every single aspect? Obviously, a project manager is not just a project manager if we think in terms of what is the end state of that project. Well, that enabled us to grow internationally. That international growth enabled us to forge all sorts of strategic partnerships. Those strategic partnerships enabled us to market and launch products in a different way, and that has made us a market leader inside of 3 years. If your project did that, you should be taking ownership of every step in that chain. And you should be looking at all of those as impact points. All of those are ramifications. To put it in my terms, if I work with you one-on-one and we figure out a way to get you generating these opportunities over and over and over again on your way, then by extension, when I think of the impact, I don't just think about this. I think about everything, every way in which you use that in the future. The 5, 10, 15 different ways you capitalized on that to keep moving faster, further on your terms over and over again. That's my total impact. That's everything for one. And now I bleed it out into every aspect of it. So start by writing down and have at least 50 there of what is the sum total of your impact? What is all the ways in which what you do is immeasurably better? Okay. And now I want you to take a look at your brand, specifically LinkedIn and your resume. And I want you to ask yourself, does the brand go towards solving those high impact points? Is it framed in a way that makes it clear this is what I do on the highest level and this is the unique way that only I can do it? Or does it lead off with experience? If it leads off with experience, you are projecting what is known as job seeker breath. You are saying, please, please, please pick me. Here's everything that I have. Like a street seller showing off all of his or her wares to whoever's there. An expert or someone who sells Rolls Royces, they don't have all their wares for everyone to look at. They lead people through a process, and then the right, carefully selected people are given the opportunity to buy one. That is what we are tapping into, but you've got to do it by activating your brand in that way. Ask yourself, does every piece of the story that you're telling within your brand, within your resume, within your journey on every interview, does it support this high-level impact? These major points, and I want you to circle like the top 5 after you have them written down. Okay, circle those top 5 and ask yourself, practically speaking, does the brand speak passionately to that and only that? When I look at every role that I've had, does it highlight those aspects that go to that impact first? Does it eliminate the short-term stuff? Does it eliminate redundancy? Or am I still trying to desperately prove, instead of being the expert that I am, owning the impact that I can do as only I can do it at the highest level? What is the answer there? Right? And all of these would go back to this first point of making sure you're coming across as critically necessary, not optional. Point number 2, go high level with the relationships that you're building. Fear in hiring starts at the bottom and it works its way up. Okay? Right now, all the gatekeepers are in panic mode or near panic mode, or maybe they're just lazy and they're using it as an excuse. Kind of a weird thing to use as an excuse, the dead bodies of thousands of people. But sure, they've done worse, right? These people are not going to help you. And when you respond to job postings, when you try to get that recruiter on the line for the 5th, 6th, 10th time, you're asking for an invite to speak with someone who is especially not conducive right now, right? So I encourage you to take some bigger risks. Did you know that if an executive recommends you at his or her company, you have a 90% shot off the bat of either getting a role or creating a role for yourself? Now, to me, that's worth so much of a risk. That's worth me figuring out a way to connect with them on LinkedIn, for example, or initiate dialogue with them in a way that isn't as a job seeker. Because I know I only need to turn over one and my life changes. Can you say that for the recruiter relationships you're building? Can you say that for the interchangeable HR relationships that you're building? No, you cannot. So what I would do is go high level. Focus your efforts around, number 1, activating the C-suite leaders you already know, the ones who are already in your network, activating them as an expert, not as a job seeker. And then if the problem isn't solved there, you want to magnify out to all sorts of leaders who are at the target places that you want to be, and you want to be focused on building relationships with them. Now, I know that there are some of us who go into panic mode when the prospect of introducing ourselves to others emerges. But just again, think of yourself as a doctor. Think of yourself as a dentist. You can be the greatest dentist on planet Earth. At some point, you're going to have to figure out how to get patients. Otherwise, your mission will never be lived on, right? And this brings me to the third point. Connect your asking price to mission, not ego. Okay? If you're focused on cultivating these relationships at that C-suite level, here's one of the great benefits. They're not looking at your history, your background, like something that needs to be picked apart. That's stuff that gatekeepers do. What people at that level are looking for is the answer to one thing and one thing only. I have clarity on all of this, but I'm a smart enough boy to know that over here, these are unknown unknowns. So when I look at you, and you're coming in as that high-level expert with that full understanding of total impact, with that full handle on the way that you do things that only you can do, that makes me say, gotcha. This person might be able to lend some clarity into that darkness, right? So when you cultivate that way, and that's your pretext for the discussion, the offer, etc., then you can own whatever asking price you want as long as you don't screw it up. As long as you don't go back into job seeker mode and start giving out lame things like, this is my range. My range is 125 to 150. Guess what, guys? Any one of you who's still giving out a range like that, what you just said is that the what you will accept is 125. Okay? So ranges don't work, but you don't have to worry about ranges when you're coming in this way. So the final point is this: connect your asking price to the mission, not your ego, right? If everything that I'm doing, if the reason that I want what I want, the reason why I want to earn this much is just for myself, then yeah, if I meet resistance or if someone is much more convincing in that way, I'll fold like a cheap suit because I'm doing it only for ego. But what if you were to sit down and you were to link up all of the ways in which you getting the asking price that would make you do the happy dance benefits every loved one in your life, everyone that cares, every member of your team? You know, we all have that internal team, don't we? For me, it's my wife and our 3 kids. They're my internal team. They're the ones I have their back until death, and they have my back, right? So what if the asking price I was doing was to make sure that their lives immediately got better? It was to make sure that specifically my son Mickey would be able to go to college without worrying about the tuition part, and he could focus on being excellent there. One goal met. And what if it was to make sure that my wife, who took this crazy bet, you know, when we met, I was not a career coach. When we met, I was an illegal immigrant living in New York City, trying to get a book published, working manual labor jobs on Craigslist. I was not what you would call a perfect white knight, you know, not exactly the perfect boyfriend. She took a risk. That risk paid off. I want to make sure that it pays off. I want to make sure that she feels like it was what God intended for her and us and me and our kids to walk this path together. And if everything there requires as a necessity this asking price, I will fight to the death for it, right? But when I'm challenged about it, I'm going to the mission. I'm going to why this is essential. I'm going to why, as 2 leaders, we can talk honestly about why waiting until post-corona is not the right move, right? But if I set myself up in this way, I have minimized the chances of facing a lowball situation. And if I do face it, this path is going to give me options. It's going to give me things aside from, well, I really want it. No. Okay, fine. It'll give me additional options, additional cards to play. And that's what this situation and mastering this situation is all about, guys. Right now, where we are, this is the prime opportunity to start adding cards to your deck, to start figuring out what are some different ways that I can make this happen in a different way to get those different results. You will never have this span of time, of forced time, whether we call it forced isolation or not. You will never have this much time to get real and honest about what is not working and passionately, with love, create it. And if that is you, I want you to go over to helloanish.com right now. I've queued up a masterclass that is waiting for you. Take it, and it'll show you exactly all 5 shifts that I lead my masterminders through to get them in a period of weeks out of whatever career situation they're in and into a place where they are in full abundance. They've got calls, they've got interviews, they've got offers in the works, or they've already accepted one. All right? And if you are sick and tired of the job search and you're sick and tired of worrying about what you're going to have to ask for when the money conversation comes up, take this class right now. It's helloanish.com. And I want to thank you for joining me on this. I want to thank you for learning with me on this. And I want to inspire you and light a fire under you to go after it. Make hay right now, okay? You can do it, and your family, your loved ones, they deserve it too. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Keep the comments coming, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.